And can you take me to those first sessions? How were they?
I think we were pretty crap. We were pretty shit, really. It took a long time for us to actually become a tight band. Like a lot of, like rehearsals can often just be not fun. And we would get lazy, you know, rehearsing and just be like, oh, let's go play the show. And then the show would be sloppy and then you'd have to go back to rehearsals and work out certain parts. But now, like, we've played enough that we know to play a good show and then to enjoy the show and for people to enjoy watching you, you need to put in the hard yards and really make an effort. And that took like years on the road.
Well, I was lucky that there wasn't that many shows before the first album. So when the band went in to record the first album, we had to put in lots of rehearsals for that. So that kind of trained us in how to rehearse properly. Because you're about to make an album, you've got to be rehearsed. So after finishing that record, we're a lot more solid as a band. So that made the shows a lot easier too. But yeah.
Yeah, and then once you had this done, so you recorded the 2012, right? The Rubens, the first record. And then in your second record, you got the Hoops song, which became a massive hit. And how has this affected the band?
Well, it meant like back home in Australia at least, like the venues we were playing became a lot bigger, and you know the tours became a lot longer, and the competition that it won, that Hoops came #1 on, is a big thing in Australia, like culturally. A lot of people listen to this radio station, Triple J, and for an Australian band to come #1, it's a massive thing. It's a massive thing for us because we grow up listening to it, you know. It's a barbecue day, you have like, you sit by the pool or go to the beach and listen to this countdown and wait for the #1 song to come on. And then that was us, and it was like, wow, this is crazy. So that was massive for us. It meant a lot to the band, just as an achievement as well, to be voted by the public, to be chosen by them as the #1 song of the year. Overseas, it hasn't done much just because no one listens to Triple J over here, so it's kind of like, and we know that it's not a broad kind of achievement worldwide. It's an Australian thing, but it's a very cool Australian thing for us to do.
Am I right in saying that it was a dream coming true?
Yeah, totally. Honestly, like that day, still for me, is one of the best days of my life. It was so good. It was so exciting.
And did this change the way that you compose music after that?
I don't think so. Like, I was actually saying this the other day to Sam, that going back to listening to all the songs that we've recorded for this new album that we've done, I'm happy to listen to them and know that we haven't tried to replicate Hoops with any of these songs. We haven't ever tried to sit down and consciously try and copy Hoops, because what's the point? Like, if you copy it, it's going to be obvious, and you can't really copy it anyway because it was just a lucky thing that connected with a lot of people. And you wouldn't be having fun if you just tried to keep on doing that again and again. You want to develop as a band and do new things. And so I think like we were lucky in that we didn't put the pressure on ourselves to try and repeat that. We just kind of finished touring that record and then went away to write and just enjoyed writing and waited to see what would come up. And I think all the songs are, you know, very different to Hoops and very different to each other, and an exciting step forward for us.
When you started writing the record that will come out, in which state of mind were you in?
I don't know. I think we were like, it would have been while we were still touring at the end of the Hoops cycle. So we're probably getting kind of sick of being on the road. So writing and being in the studio was an exciting thing to be getting back into. So I think it was just really excitement and happiness to be creating again.
Yeah, and the song you just mentioned, excitement and happiness to be creating again. So maybe the Million Man single that was released, is it connected to this feeling somehow?
I guess maybe,
because it's very upbeat.
Yeah. I mean, and that's something we haven't really done much with our music either. A lot of our music is bluesy and some of it's laid back or, you know, more minor key kind of thing. And this song was a bit different for us. I don't think it was a conscious effort to write a happy song. It was just this, like for most of our music, it's whatever comes, and then you sit, and then afterwards, it's like right now when we're asked a question about it, that's when we'll try and reflect on it and think, so why did that happen, or how did that happen? I don't know. I guess we were in a good state of mind, feeling good.
And this state of mind is reflected throughout all the songs, I believe, of the new record.
Yeah, they're not all happy. There's some sad ones. There's some breakups on there, breakup songs, and I think it's a good indicator of the sound of the album, that song.
Yeah.
But you know, there's ups and downs, there's peaks and troughs across the album, and a lot of songs sound, you know, quite different to Million Men, but Million Men reflects where we're headed with the rest of the record.
Yeah. And I was reading that the record, it was made in a studio housed in a World War II communications bunker in the outskirts of Sydney. What's that studio like?
Yeah, it's a studio that a friend and I, a good friend of mine and myself had been building for a little while. It's just an awesome environment. Like we said, it's a World War II bunker underground, a big concrete thing, you can put semi-trailers in it, it's massive. So it was always a good hangout place, like to have parties and things in. So to have it as a creative environment's really cool. So yeah, we built that and ended up flying the two producers from New York there, and they really dug it too, and they could understand why we would want to record a record here, because it's our vibe and where we rehearse, it's part of our hometown, and it's an interesting space, like people like to just be in it. So yeah, that was a pretty cool experience. It sounds a bit different because it's like it's circular, the roof. So it's acoustically sounds a bit weird.
And this translates into the music that we're gonna listen. Oh
yeah, I'm sure it does to a certain degree. But with modern technology, you can pretty much make anything sound the way you want it. But there's little elements here and there where I reckon the studio has some sort of characteristic to it.
Yeah.
That has affected the music. So that's cool.
Interesting. When is the record out?
We haven't got a date yet, but it's soon. We'll be announcing real soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you tell the title of the record? Or
Can't tell that either yet. Yeah, very soon though. Yeah. Very close. Very close.
Okay, give us anything else about the record.
It's really good. We had the best time recording it. Like you said, with Torbett and Wilder, two American producers that we.
They are the producers of Run the Jewels.
Yeah. So we met them on like a festival run in Australia back in like 2013. Hung out with them a little bit, and then saw them a couple of times, maybe when we were in New York at a bar that they work at, that they hang at, and then realized when we were writing for this record and then coming up to needing to record and looking for producers, that they actually produced the Run the Jewels records, which we love and listen to. And so we contacted them, sent them some demos to see if they thought it was something they could work on, and they were excited, and then flew them out eventually. And it was just like a fun time, really. Like the whole record, we were working 14-hour days, like every day, day after day in the studio, not seeing the sun, which you think would make you go crazy, but it was honestly just a fun time hanging out with the guys and working on these tracks together. Which I don't know if it's just because I was there, and like personally I have memories and nostalgia with these songs. I think that that fun and creativity is reflected in the songs on the album when people listen to it. I think they'll get that.
It's interesting when I was reading the story about the producers, that because they produce, well, Run the Jewels is pretty much, it's hip hop, and your sound is completely different, and I was like, well, where is the connection here?
Well, even though they're probably known for doing Run the Jewels, they do lots of other styles, and they have like jazz backgrounds, they're jazz musicians, so they're not just like, you know, computer guys that make beats. They can do that, but they can do a lot of other things. So I think it's more, once a producer's, you meet them and realize that they're capable, it's understanding that you can get on as people and that you can be artistic together, and then you have a a view for the end of the line. Where working with some producers, it can be very, you know, because you might not get on as people, or have a certain way. It's not a creative environment. There's all those sort of things that I think as a band we're looking for now, because we know that the songs are good, and not that anyone could produce them, but we're looking at having a good time doing it as well, because that's I'm sure that's how most of the other guys think of it. Like, you want to have a good time, and if you're having a good time, you're going to make a great record.
Yeah. Final question then. Am I right in saying that this good time, this upbeat mood that you are describing, would you say that you want to give the same feeling to the listener when the record is out? Are you trying to convey this message with the record?
I think so. There's not like an overall theme or message from the album. It was pretty much, you know, our pick of all the demos that we wrote, and then we throw them together and say this is the album. But like I said, we had such a good time recording it and hanging with these guys and hanging with each other that I think when people listen to it, they will get that vibe. There are some sad songs on there. There are some downers, but there's...
You need some sad songs.
You need some sad songs to cherish the happy ones, the good ones. But I think it is a good time overall for me anyway. It's like a trip down memory lane of just a fun bunch of weeks with our mates creating good music and having fun.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. That was good. Thanks, dudes. Good questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much.